giving people hope, helping them understand, helping them feel heard, giving them language for conversations. A lot of this comes down to hard conversations
Mm.
and helping them to navigate it and figure out what's next.
Hey, this is Matt Helton with OneTrust Home Loans, your reverse mortgage experts, and you found us again at the Serving Senior podcast. Now, this is the podcast where we highlight those businesses and those individuals that are helping seniors not just get by, not just survive, but thrive in retirement. And we have another awesome individual here today. We have Miss Susie Sarkisian, and she's with Susie Sarkisian Coaching. And it's not the type of coaching that you may think of when you hear the word coaching. It is senior and family focused. And she's going to share with us how she does that. So, hey, Susie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Matt?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for being here. This is exciting. I'm trying to think, you may be the farthest guest so far. You're competing. We've had a nice lady from New York. We've had, I think, New Jersey. We've had a few, so we're all in that same neck of the woods. So thank you for being
I'm
here.
a little bit further than them. I'm up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Little itty bitty state.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. I'm so glad you're here. And if you could maybe share with the audience maybe who you are, where you're from originally, and then maybe your journey in the past, what you've done in the past, and then what you're doing now and how you serve seniors would be great to hear.
Sure. So, as he said, you've heard my long mouthful of a name, Susie Sarkisian, and I am what I call a family support coach.
Okay.
Originally from North Carolina.
Okay.
So I have, through my sort of worldly travels, have ended up in New England. And I worked for the last 15 years in senior living. The last 12, of my 15-year career, the last 12 of them, I was a director of family services, meaning that my job was to support the family members. When a senior moves into an assisted living, this was down in New York, when a senior moves into an assisted living, it obviously has an impact on the senior, but it also has a really big impact on the family members. It might be a spouse who's had to move their spouse in. It might be an adult child who's had to make this decision for their parent or parents. It could be a niece who lives far away and is the decision maker for her aunt. So I wholeheartedly believe that what goes on when a family member ages is hard for the senior, but it also has a big impact on everyone else involved. And I kind of learned that through my own personal family story when my father had Lewy body dementia, and our sort of normal family was turned all around. So, we had a traditional family, if you will, but then in his aging and his illness, we all kind of stepped into different roles, and it was a game changer. And we're not unique. This happens everywhere all the time. But I found that I was most concerned about my mom, and I would call her and say, "Mom, how are you doing? Mom, when's the last time you got a shower? Mom, who's giving you a break?" So I was really concerned about the caregiver and the people around, knowing full well that my dad was being cared for by her and by some others, but I was very concerned about her. So that kind of led me down this path of offering support for family members. So I'm giving you a long answer to a short question. So in October of last year, I launched my own business. I left my big old job at an assisted living in White Plains, New York, and launched my own coaching business because my favorite part of what I was doing was giving people hope, helping them understand, helping them feel heard, giving them language for conversations. A lot of this comes down to hard conversations and helping them to navigate it and figure out what's next. So I'm here in Connecticut. I work entirely virtual, and I run some support groups, and I work with, a lot of times I'm with the adult children, or it could be a mother and her children about the father. It could be, it could be any number of people who are concerned, affected by, loving an aging senior.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Maybe share with us what's been exactly like you expected when you stepped into this, and maybe what's been different as you've dove into this here recently.
As I dove into my own business.
Yeah. What's been maybe some eye-opening experiences that you didn't expect, and maybe some things that you got out of it that you did expect?
Yeah. One thing that has really kind of snuck up on me and has done really well is I started a group for caregiving spouses, right? So it originally started for people who had moved their husband or wife into a facility and they were not living there. Okay. Most of the time that's because of dementia or something like that. But they still stayed in the family home and their spouse was living in a different location. And I found that those people really need each other. Like, it's such a unique journey, right? They're like, wait, am I married? Am I divorced? Am I a widow? Am I, my husband's still alive, but I feel like I'm a widow because he's sort of not there. So that I kind of started that group on a whim. And that has been the biggest surprise. And I was doing a group. Well, I had two people on a call last night that were both spouses, both were living in their own home and their spouse lived somewhere else. And we had amazing conversations about when loneliness sneaks up on them, right? And one woman, the woman said, she goes, when it hits me, she goes, random times, like when I'm taking out the garbage cans to the street, that my husband's not here. And this is something he would have normally done. And so bringing together spouses who are well when their spouse is not well, that has been my biggest win. I mean, and surprisingly, it doesn't matter that I'm not in their situation. I'm a facilitator. I'm a professionally trained life coach. I'm certified. So for me, it's about being able to facilitate these conversations, create a setting that people can share honestly, and find a sense of community. They're both sitting in their own homes. I think these two people, they were down in Virginia. They were probably like 2 or 3 miles apart. But
wow.
But so that's been one of my biggest surprises.
That's exciting. That's a positive surprise. It's cool when you can surprise yourself and make a difference. Yeah,
it like I said, it was just kind of a whim. One day I went, you know what? We have a lot of people whose spouses are not living here. What if I got them together and made a group just for them? And then that's kind of taken off.
Wow. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Sue, maybe you could share. I like to ask it like this: what's some of your superpowers or some of your qualities that's allowed you to excel at this and even gave you the courage to jump out on your own and do this?
Ooh, cool. My superpowers. Or qualities. Well, I think there's kind of three reasons why I'm good at what I do. One is that I've gone through it on a personal level with my father and my family, right? So I've walked through a lot of this, and that's where I can connect with other adult children.
Okay.
One would be that. The second would be my experience. So having worked in the senior living world for 15 years, I can talk the talk. I know the lingo. I know the when someone says a SNF, which is a skilled nursing facility, I know what that means, and I understand how a lot of that works. Sometimes people say, oh my gosh, my mom fell, she needs to go to a nursing home. And I say, hold on, there's a lot of other options. We don't have to go to that at this point yet. So I think my personal experience, my professional experience, and then my training as a certified life coach has taught me a lot about asking open-ended questions, about being supportive, about reflecting, about how to take people through conversations.
Wow.
And let them feel like they're communicating with someone who is listening, who is validating them. So I think those are the three things. And I kind of have a goofy sense of humor, but I can't hold it back sometimes. So that helps. And, I had someone say recently, they go, you're one person I know who can actually take this kind of tough topic and make us laugh about it.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, there's the distance between laughing and crying is quite small, right? Sounds like you're able to bridge that gap between a tear and a laugh and hopefully get them over the edge. So,
well, even in that hard conversation just last night, I mean, there were times when we were all laughing. And one of the things they both said they missed about having their spouse not being there is laughter. And at the end of the call, I said, guess what we just did, you guys?
Yeah.
Guess what? We were laughing. I don't know if you realize it, but we just did it,
Yeah,
so.
That's great. That's great. Well, you've shared a little bit of it, but I always like to ask maybe if you have another example or another story where you've met some people that things weren't going that well, but you were able to put them through the process, or you were able to just share something with them through what you do that's helped them, either have a better retirement or help their family member deal better with what they were going through. Do you have any other examples like that?
Yeah, my probably biggest family audience once I had was 6 adult children.
Okay.
Who, and I hate that phrase, adult children. How can you be an adult and a child at the same time? I don't know. But anyway, so I had 6 adult children, ages probably late 50s and up, who had 2 parents, mother and father. Mother had major health issues and some dementia or cognitive things. And the dad was just sort of refusing to move the needle.
Okay.
And I got all 6 of them on a call and they said, this isn't going to work. I mean, there was the naysayer who said, there's nothing we can do. Dad's never going to move. I don't even know why we're wasting our time, And then I had the ones that said, no, we have to do it. And here's what we're going to do. So they all kind of came in with their own agendas. And we spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time just asking about the parents and who is your father? Like, what did he do for a living? What's important to him? And long story short, or towards the end of it, we reached a point where what was needed was a conversation with their parents. There was an assumption that their parents had no future plans. There was an assumption that they were going to let their mother make the decision. There were a lot of assumptions, but conversations that had not been had. So through working this out, by the end, there was a plan and they came to the plan, but I kind of was able to clearly say, Mom's not a decision maker in this. I'm sorry that she's in the condition she's in, but if we're waiting for your mother to agree when she has dementia, we're setting ourselves up for a tough situation. So they came up with a plan where 2 of the boys, or maybe 3 of the boys, decided they were going to drive to Raleigh, North Carolina, where the parents were. And the sisters were going to go and hang out with Mom. The sons were going to say, Dad, we need to have a talk with you. And they're going to take him out to Wendy's for breakfast.
Oh, nice.
And make it an intentional thing. It wasn't just a casual, hey, let's talk about this. Okay. So by doing that, they came up with a plan. By the end of our call, they were all in agreement that this plan was a start. There's no guarantee that it's going to work, but in coaching, by the end of a call, you have a next step. Wow. So the plan was not to, they were hoping that by the end of our call, I would have a moving truck pull up out front of their parents' house. And I said, that's not what we're about. Convincing doesn't work. So it was about having a conversation with their dad and understanding. Lo and behold, they didn't know it, but their father had already put his name in on a place. But every time they brought up the topic, he would resist because they hadn't had a conversation. So it was about them talking about, Dad, where do you see this in a year? Where do you, tell us about the place you're interested in. What are your future plans? And if the dad said, I'm going to move in with one of you, they would say, well, who are you thinking that you would move in with when there's steps and Mom can't do steps? Mm-hmm. So my working with them was able to take them from a place of 6 varying different opinions to a place of, okay, now we have a plan. And they all felt like they were working together to support their parents. And that's the bottom line. They love their parents. But often when a kid comes in and says, here's what you have to do, give me your car keys, get in the car, get in the moving truck, I push back on that. I say, you need to explore someone's resistance and listen to them and validate.
Yeah.
So that would be an example of that family that.
Oh, that's a great example.
Started off by them saying, this is a waste of our time, or one of them saying that. And he came through. He came through in the end. He was like in tears.
Wow. That sounds good. It sounds like, I guess, an analogy would be you took them from they were playing a pickup basketball game where everyone was doing their own thing. And then the coach, you took it to more formalized with a plan, right? So you took it from outdoors to inside because you were the coach, you had the clipboard out, you were drawing out the play. You can't run the play, right? But they were disorganized, kind of doing their own thing, one-on-one basketball, and you took it to, hey, here's your play, you do this, you do this. They had a plan when they left your meeting, and
they came up with the plan.
That's even better.
I didn't create the plan, but they came up with the plan. But what I really did was explore who their parents are.
Wow.
So what is important to your dad? Is it important that they stay together? Is it important that he gets a break? Is it important are the finances important? Is it important that he leaves money and leaves the home for what, So that's what I really dug into. Let's talk to who they are as people. Wow. And that's really important.
That's awesome. So you didn't give them the answers, but you told them the question.
No. In coaching, I don't come to it with the answers. I believe my clients already have the answers. My job is to help them find them and to shine lights where they might not be looking.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, that's so cool. And then the funny part is that the dad already had a plan in place. They just couldn't uncover that he even had some ideas, right?
That conversation had never been had. And they decided who would be best to have this conversation with dad.
Wow.
And sometimes I'll ask the hard question. I go, well, who is the favorite, or who is the person, who's the kid that if this person says it, then mom will do it. There's always the one person that, or it could be a doctor, right? It could be, well, if your doctor said it's time for you to move, would that resonate with your mother? So, yeah.
That's neat. Yeah, that's awesome. Now maybe share with the audience, as you're visiting with people, I know it varies on their situation, but do you have any go-to resources that you recommend people research or look into, or anything like that you like to bring up to clients, whether it's dementia resources or places for them to go look and research?
It definitely depends on the situations, but one thing I will say is there are so many professionals in this field. There are professionals who will help you to take you on tours to different facilities. Right. There are professionals who will just do an assessment of your home and determine if you can use some grab bars. There are professionals who run home care agencies. There are some that do it non-medical versus medical. And most people are not aware of that because you haven't walked down that path.
Yeah.
So that goes back to the example I said of someone who said, oh, my mom fell, I guess she has to go to a nursing home. And I'm like, you just went from A to Z. Like there's so many different paths in between. So depending on the area, I tend to steer from those enormous, big companies that sort of shoot your name out to 25 assisted livings. I tend to stay away from that. I tend to say, find a local professional and to ask others how they've handled it. So like I said, most people aren't aware of the many, many, many layers. Most people aren't even aware of the difference in assisted living versus skilled nursing or memory care, or what that means. So a lot of my talk is sometimes about education. Of course, I have local resources that I can recommend for people, but I also am not afraid to, do some research in someone's area. I have a client in California and she's looking for a therapist. And so I used one of a local therapist that I know. I said, does your company have an affiliate in California? So I sort of will do what I can to help with that. And if it's what they want as a therapist and not a coach, I don't care as long as they're getting support. Support is the most important part. So whether they're getting their support from me or from a therapist, that's fine. But support is so important in this. Many people try and figure it out on their own.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast, is because there's so many businesses that could serve more people, that have an awesome mission, just great people. The challenge is nobody knows about them.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get your message out there. And that's why we started this. So we've had, 40 plus episodes of all different types of senior care services, just like you mentioned, from the in-home care, from the medical to the non-medical to the legal side, the attorneys, the plan. We even had a lady recently, she's not too far from you, where what she does is actually has phone call. She'll actually schedule phone calls for the senior as small as to remind them to take their medicine. So,
Oh, wow.
and it can be hired by the family, and then it can be check-in calls. And then she started another situation where she'll have almost like phone pen pals, where, lonely seniors, maybe different parts of the country, she'll connect them, and then the people that she thinks will vibe, and they'll just sit and chat, because some people don't have anyone to talk to, so there's all kinds of
That's
ways.
great. That's great.
And
Good for her.
Yeah.
Where's she? Is she in New York or somewhere?
Yeah, she's in the New York area.
And this part of the world that nobody, it's like all New England. It's all just up there somewhere.
Yeah, I believe she's in the New York area. I'll get you guys connected. You guys would have a good chat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's lots of ways to do it. And in this new world, right, where you're sitting in Connecticut, I'm in Nashville, and we're having a conversation like we're just sitting at a coffee shop, lots of Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Susie, is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have, or anything else you'd like to share? And please plug how people could get in contact with you would be the most important.
It's my name is my website. So it's susiesarkisian.com. They're all S's. SUSIESARKISIN, SIAN. So that is my name. And I offer a free half hour. I call it the Tell Me All About It.
All right. Got it. Yeah.
So I offer the free half hour. You can go on my website, sign up for a Tell Me All About It session, and tell me all about it for a half hour. And then we see if you and I are a fit, we want to work together, we go forward. If you think, no, I'm good, then you go on your merry way. But I think what do you have to lose by half hour? And you know what I find is people really like to talk about their story. We all like to tell our stories, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of power in just being heard and validated and understood. And it's hard. This stuff is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to see someone change. It's hard to see someone not be who they were. And I don't think you have to keep it in.
Wow. That's very powerful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very well said. So if someone's watching this and they know someone that needs to tell their story, needs to be heard, or maybe they're a professional that crosses paths with a lot of people, could you share, like, hey, be on your lookout for this type of family, this type of person, or this type of business?
Yeah.
Who'd be good referrals and good referral sources for you?
What I tell people is listen for angst. I hate that, but that's what it is. When someone goes, oh my gosh, I just don't know what to do. It's the angst, or, oh my gosh, this is killing me. I can't believe that I'm having to make a decision for my parent who raised me. So when someone is at that, like, knot in your throat and it's eating them up, that's what I tell people to listen for. It's, I work with elder care attorneys. I work with real estate people. I work with people who work in assisted livings or marketing departments. So it's a broad spectrum, but to be honest, it also, it affects, there's the professional avenues of finding people, but then it affects everyone. I was meeting with another certified coach yesterday, and she said, we've got this going on with my father-in-law right now. So it doesn't matter, what avenue, but I say listen for the angst. And when someone tells someone you need to go to Susie, you need to, those people don't usually come through. If you've been told, oh, you need to go get your teeth whitened, you're going to be like, stop talking about my teeth. Right? If someone tells you you need to do something, you're going to push back a little. But if you come to someone,
that was an inside joke or something.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm just making something up, or lose weight or whatever. But if you tell someone they need something, for the most part, human beings resist being told to do something. But if someone comes to you and says, I am lost, I don't have any direction, I don't have any clue what to do next, those are the ones that you say, well, I know someone who does this, who's a professional, and talk to her for a half hour for free.
Nice. That's great.
I'm not a hard sell. I'm a, hey, if you like me, you like me. Or if you feel like this, but I also just hate thinking that people are not getting the support they need. And there's so many options out there, like what you offer can give people the financial freedom, the emotional, that can clear up so much emotional space in their heads to enjoy these years.
Completely makes sense. Yeah. We're not giving them money. We're not giving them a loan. We're giving them peace of mind.
Yeah.
If we can take that 1,000-pound gorilla called bills and finances off their back, how much more fun they're going to have, how much more enjoyment they have with the grandkids, and just how much longer they're going to live if that stress isn't holding them. So you're dead on. It's a challenge, I think, that everyone has it in this current environment. But if you're stuck with a fixed income, it's even more. Yes, ma'am. It's all about making them feel comfortable and seeing how long you can not just live, right, but how long can you thrive and actually have an enjoyable retirement.
Right. And things happen, and, people have stroke, and things happen, and people change. Yeah. And that can be okay too. That's sort of my message, is there can still be joy in your life. Yeah. So that can still be okay too. You got to go through the grieving or the anger of a situation, but there's still so many more options out there for support and for reclaiming your life and that kind of thing. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you got a great business idea, a great business, and then just a great heart for serving people. So keep up the good work, and so glad to have you on here, and so glad to hear your story. Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it, Matt. Yes, ma'am. We appreciate it. And thank you for watching the Serving Senior podcast, where we highlight these awesome individuals like Miss Susie that serve seniors at such a high level. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day. Hey, this is Matt Helton with OneTrust Home Loans, home of Retirement Mortgage Solutions. And we really do appreciate you checking out the Serving Seniors podcast today. Now, please go to the description down in the body of the podcast where you can subscribe to get future shows. Please click that notification button so you get notified when other shows drop. And also, if you can go to servingseniourspodcast.com, and we'd love to hear a comment about our show. We have a heart to serve seniors, and we have a heart to make sure seniors don't just survive retirement, don't just get by in retirement. We want to show seniors how to thrive in retirement. So if you know of anyone that's 55 and older that could use some extra cash flow, maybe the retirement's not going the way that they like, our retirement mortgage solutions are designed for folks, depending on the state, they're either 55 or 62 and older, to make sure that they have that kind of retirement that they want. As long as they own a home and they're in a good equity position, there could be some solutions that they may not have thought about, or maybe they've thought of and they just didn't know how they work. That's what we do. So anyone in that age group that could use some mortgage advice, my team and I would love to be able to help them. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you on the next show. Have a great day.